My brother's classmate died almost 30 years ago. I don't know whether to go to her father's house with a gun and get it all over with. Written by LemonKurt. When I was 7, my brother lost a classmate. She was taken, somehow on her paper route on a Thursday morning in May. She was 13, same as my brother, and my parents didn't let us leave the house unattended for years afterwards. I was mad and frustrated then, but now, as an adult with kids of my own, I understand. I understand the fear, the bone-chilling shocks of worry they must have had. I feel it myself whenever my daughter, only a toddler, but probably a chaos entity in an earlier life, wanders out of sight, or my son doesn't respect curfew. I know my brother feels it too. With his 3 daughters, one of them now the same age as she was when it happened. But anyway, Joyce, a girl with braces and a picture of her dog in her wallet, was lost. She dropped off a paper at the Hansons, pet their cat, and biked onwards towards the last house on her route. Old Man Virgil on the other side of the woods, only 500 millimeters from the Hansons, but she never made it. Something happened on the way there. Something took Joy from the road and left a nothingness. A loss in her absence. I knew the family a little bit. We lived in the same cul-de-sac, and I used to say hi to Joy and her parents on my way to my best friend's house, who lived right next door to them. They had a dog the same sort as mine, a black poodle, only mine's was named Bricks, and theirs was named Leo. When mine disappeared, they always allowed me to pet Leo. It was mighty nice of them. She was always nice, and her parents seemed like most parents I knew at that age, sweetly boring and sort of gray, wobbly figures of no importance. I always noticed them afterwards. They seemed jagged and dark, completely wrong in the neighborhood, like they were living in a grief that was otherworldly. There's a headstone with Joy's name in the graveyard by the church the next town over, and it's always meticulously attended to. They went at least once a week, even by the time I moved away for college. I'm home now, back in this town. Corona is a threat for my elderly parents, so I took leave from my job and went home to take care of them. My parents are terrified, so I'm here for them. I shop, cook, and I sweep the yard, so they don't have to leave the house. I was honestly shocked to still see Joy's last name on the mailbox of her parents' house. The house seemed completely in disarray. The garden was overgrown, and a window on the first floor was smashed. The rotting corpse of the bird that had flown into it was still laying on the roof above the veranda. Only her father's name is still on the mailbox. From what I'm told by my dad, he doesn't really leave the house anymore, with his brittle bones and the sadness of a lifetime of grief weighing him down. So, I went to see him about a week's time ago, just to see if there was anything I could help him with. When he opened the door, he recognized me immediately.
"Ah, little Timmy. My, how you've grown. To what do I owe the pleasure?"
He was smiling, but I could still see his jagged edges, and he didn't look like he had had a change of clothes in a couple of days. I hadn't been called Timmy since middle school, but I smiled and asked him if I could help him with anything. He smiled, let me in, and that's how our arrangement started. I come by every other day with groceries, cook him some food, and we have a chat. Yesterday I brought up his daughter. There's still pictures of her and his wife, who died a few years back, up on the walls. He turned all gray and sullen, sinking into himself. When he spoke, it was barely a whisper.
I don't even know what to think anymore. People said it had to be Virgil, but I trust my friends, and Virgil was my friend. The police didn't find anything either. Evil tongues, that was all that was. Someone took my girl, and whatever they did to her, they didn't give her back to me. I had to bury my wife next to an empty grave, with a stone with my child's name on it. I can't help but think that someone did it to spite me, to hate me and torment me. I can't for the life of me think of anyone I would have hurt enough to deserve this. I can't call this a life anymore. My life ended when Joy's did.
I must tell you, this broke my heart. I cried a few tears, and he cried with me. I held this grown, old, and experienced man in my arms as he wept. I can't think of anything worse than to believe yourself to be the cause of your own daughter's death. I cried for and with him. I held him close, as I did my son when he was a baby, and my daughter when she scraped her knees. But how do you tell a grieving man that it wasn't his fault? That it wasn't his fault that some 13-year-old boy knocked his daughter out with our father's hunting rifle, took her body, and played with it, mutilated it, killed it, and then went home to brag to his little brother that he had flipped a coin to decide between Joyce and another girl in his class, a redhead who now has kids, and that he did it only because he liked it. He liked it when he did it to our dog Bricks, when he did it to stray cats, and he liked it when he did it to Joyce. I have a picture of their dog, Leo, somewhere in my childhood bedroom. The same one Joyce had in her wallet, given to me by my brother to keep me quiet. Tomorrow I'm going to Joyce's grave and giving it back to her. My brother is coming home to take care of my parents next week and taking over for me. I haven't yet decided whether to tell Joy's father everything I know and hand him a gun, or let the dead stay dead. I suppose I'll flip a coin.